That is what is most important. Now, business analytics is something like brilliance, where I use all this to analyze the past business performance. I look into what the data is telling us. Based on this data, I try to predict something which is useful for my decision making. But if I want to put it in simple in a one line, it's very simple. Your business analytics is where you're going to convert your raw data into some actionable insights. See, applying your analytics on business data is what we call it as business analytics. If I apply analytics on some education language, you're going to study on the data, you're going to make some analysis on the data, and you're going to add some value to the organization. And this value will always create some static advantage to the organization. I'm very clear, if you apply and add some value to the organization, which will create some competitive advantage or motivate the sales for the next 2 years. Do sales will increase in any particular region? Or is there any problem in sales in any particular region? What is the reason for that? So I'm going to make analysis by using some statistical tools through a language. So basically, where it adds value and with the competitors. That's why nowadays majority of the companies are using business analytics. Now, generally, business analytics are basically divided into 4 types. The 4 types will tell you 4 levels of business statistics. You try to analyze the data, but it is only descriptive. That is, for example, if I want to study the sales of a particular region, for example, in there I want to study the sales of Telangana region for the last 5 years. Minimum sales, what is the average sales that were made, in which region it was made, in which area it was made, relating to which product it was made. So just you're going to describe what was happening in the past. Last 5 years, what are the major sales that were made? Analysis where you're going to describe the data of something which is already there. There is already some data of last 5 years, you're going to describe it. Then we call it as descriptive analytics. You're going to use some analytics tools to describe the data. This particular answers for particular why it happened. Now, my sales in the next 2 years will be done in analytics, which is statistical tools, which helps us. And the fourth one comes with prescriptive analytics. Now, for example, if my objective is to do. Now, for example, if my objective is to do, how can it be as a statistical? Let's see, all this will be using prescriptive analytics. So, starting will start with descriptive, all this will be using prescriptive analytics. So, starting will start with descriptive analytics and ends with the prescriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics and ends with the prescriptive analytics, which is a higher level in business analytics. But you have some data you're not taking. You're taking. Don't estimate your sales. You can project your profits. You can project your sales. You can project your business analytics in all domain areas. Next, the third and the most important one is operational efficiency. That is to what extent we are able to, if I made a strategy, the outcome should be either to increase my sales or to increase my profit or to increase my. So by using business analytics, you will be very clear to know what customer requires, what are his problems, what type of product he is more interested in, what type of products, which type of products, how frequently they are purchasing, why they're purchasing so and so product. So this data will be the product as per the case differences, or you can increase your level of inventory depending upon the requirement of the customers, matching your asset and liabilities, from where you raise the funds to where you invest the funds. By any business organization is to gain competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is where you're going to have advantages, some new products depending upon the taste and preference of the consumers, or you can come out with some new exciting products. Let me focus my discussion on the application of business analytics in various sectors. See, when you talk, so my focus will be on all these sectors, like each individual sector, how business analytics is contributing to that, where we start with retail and e-commerce. When you talk about retail and e-commerce, we usually, so for what purpose they use this business analytics? What are the areas where they do apply as a sector? Now, if you look at which product is moving fast into the market, so it helps you to forecast the demand for your products. Optimum pricing is done. At the same time, ensure that you also generate revenue and you not sacrifice your cost. Products who are purchasing some medium products, who are purchasing some smaller regulated day-to-day products. So which type of customers are preferring or which. And the next one is inventory management. Inventory management is basically, we know in retail, it's all about how do you manage your inventory by using analytics in retail sector. Now, what does this impact? Do this really have an impact? You're able to provide a better experience to your customers by making them available all the feasible products which they like. That is possible, which you call as enhanced customer experience. That is, you can increase the experience of the global level. We have companies like Amazon, Walmart, Target, Zolando, Best Buy. But at Indian level, if we see, we have companies like Reliance, Retail, Flipkart, Big Basket, Nykaa. And let us have a look at how these companies are using business analytics in browsing. See, if, for example, today you browse some product. For example, if I browse some product leading to washing machine. Now you go and check. After 2 days also, when you first on the Flipkart, it will show you it. After 2 days also, when you first on the Flipkart, it will show you it washing machines, because it's a customer browsing what they are browsing, what they're looking at. And it also helps you to get some purchase data. I can, by the end of the day, I can know what are the purchases made by the customers, how many washing machines were purchased, or how many FMCG products or how many luxury products are purchased. So I, basing on that, I'm able to optimize my pricing, as well as I'm able to uh, look at my logistics of the company also. And
Excuse
logistics,
me, ma'am.
yeah, hello.
Your screen is not moving. We are just seeing the same screen. Cycle.
Is it visible right now, sir?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Flipkart uses basic analytics for customer browsing as well as for purchase data to optimize their pricing strategies. Moving on to the next example, we have Reliance Retail. It also uses analytics especially for store location planning. The center inventory stocking, what I said, how they store their inventory. For that they use analytics. And the best example we have is Nykaa. We know it's a most of the fashion brand. So it uses for personalized product recommendations. So it takes the preference of the customers based on the there is enhanced customer satisfaction with the help of business analytics. Now moving on to the next part we have is healthcare. Healthcare is one of the most important care improvements. If you want to know the profile of your patient, how many types of patients, like on a day-to-day, how many patients are getting in, getting outside, and how many are coming with what type of diseases they are coming. It also helps you to predict your disease. What is the disease? You can also look at operational efficiency. How well you're able to reduce your cost and provide a better service to your patients. And the impact of this business analytics in healthcare sector is mainly focused on to reducing admission rate. We have Mount Sinai, Mayo Clinic, Kaiser, we have Clinic, HCA Healthcare, all these are global companies which we have. But when we talk about Indian companies, there are some companies which we know like Apollo Hospitals, Fortis Healthcare, Narayana Health, and detection and treatment recommendations. So whatever disease we have, depending upon the features they generate, it will help you, the using of analytics will help you to identify what is the probable disease they have, and based on that, they also can get the recommendations. Number of patients getting inside, how many beds are vacant, what is the utilization capability, and the resources that are available of your patients. Suppose if the patient is coming, is already admitted in the last 1 year, he has gone out, again he came back. You should sector we see most of predictive analytics, because predictive analytics is where you're able to predict what the disease is and can be reduced by 15%. I am speaking this from the side of business. So when you apply the data given as per the McKinsey report. Now after healthcare comes into picture, the next one is finance. This is the first sector where we see out of 100, 90% of analytics is being used. For example, in case that is happening in terms of drawing or payment or check, whatever else it is. So fraud detection can be done. Next, the most important score, I can tell whether the person will repay or will be in default. If at all, if you see the person is in default, the person will not be able to. Where it will be able to predict whether the customer, whether the investor will be able to repay its borrowed amount or not, depending upon the credit score. So credit scoring is one of the emerging where I already discussed that it is about asset liabilities mismatch. So where do you raise your funds? Where do you invest your funds? Because being a bank, next, customer behavior analysis is most important. When you talk about banking, definitely you need to understand the behavior of your investor. Analytics in finance or banking, you can see the fraud has been reduced. There is a reduction in fraud losses because you get able to identify it very easily by using analytics abilities. And especially with AI and machine learning. And also there is more of, and we also have Wealthfrog, is also a global company. We also have Indian companies like HDFC Bank, ICICI, SBA, Axis Bank. If you find any cross-selling segment, definitely these analytics will help you to identify the areas where you can use different strategies for cross-selling. And the next not. So that you can do with the help of analytics by creating different credit risk models. So SBA using the credit risk models because it's a big bank, whether a loan has to be given to that some X person or not. And next, Paytm Payment Bank, it has also been using analytics. So many customers will be using Paytm. They make payments, they make all type of payments for different activities. So transaction analytics is where you're going to identify what different types of transactions you have for Paytm organization, especially to identify if you have any frauds and also to detect any micro loans. And that's what I said initially, night is being focused only on fraud detection. Moving on to the next, so you're going to predict predictive maintenance if you want to. So you're going to predict predictive maintenance if you want to maintain something, you need to predict it. So how you're going to predict what is the amount of laborers required, what is the amount of raw materials that is manufacturing. So how do you optimize your supply chain? You should not, as I said, you cannot have more to optimize your supply chain. You should not, as I said, you cannot have more amount of inventory or less of inventory. How do you maintain your supply chain? You get that. By using analytics, we'll be able to chart out any strategies where I will be able to using analytics, we'll be able to chart out any strategies where I will be able to increase my production efficiency. The time can be reduced. At the same time, the time that is taken for a machinery also can be reduced. The time that is taken for a machinery also can be reduced. And you also increase your production efficiency. That is, analytics will help you to reduce your overhead cost. And we look at some of the examples in this sector, taking a few case studies like Tata Steel is one which supplies real analytics. Next, we know Mahindra and Mahindra, which uses analytics in demand forecasting for manufacturing of tractors and SUV analytics to forecast what exhibition can be used. And if you see in manufacturing, majority of the component is used is predictive maintenance. And next, moving on to the next segment or next sector, we have is telecommunication, where in telecommunication segment, we have customer churn production. What are the features expected by customers and what are the variations they require, what are the additional features they need. So all this can be churned. Customer requirements can be analyzed very clearly or can be predicted by personalized offers. This most we see, especially in telecommunication segment. We see majority of the companies like Idea, Airtel, BSNL, they're offering, they are very competitive and they start offering more personalized offers depending upon analytics. Based on that, they are going to formulate different offers, they're going to formulate some strategies. Based on that, they're going to give some personalized offers to the customers. And because of this using of analytics company for the last 5 to 10 years, so a retention rate has been increased. And there was an improvement in the network service quality also. And 5 to 10% increase in retention has already happened in number of Indian companies like Reliance, Jio, Airtel, BSNL, Vodafone, Idea. And then you look at the applications part where these companies are using in part of telecommunication segment, we have Reliance Jio. As your products, you definitely take the preference of your customers, and depending on that, you're going to price your product. And Airtel also uses analytics basically to improve your rating by bundling offers. So you're going to give your bundling offers, your group of bundle of offers to your customers, and depending on that, Airtel analytics. So 60% of tele companies are using analytics for churning production, improving retention by 10 to 15%. Now, moving on, the company, the sectors, if they use analytics, they can use analytics basically for energy consumption prediction. If you want to predict what will the energy that is consumed for the next 2 years or for the next 6 months, what will the energy consumption in such a case. So the impact of using analytics on energy segment has been basically in terms of improved energy efficiency. As I said, with less energy, you're able to produce more output. So improving to produce good amount of energy, and you're able to reduce your cost at 25%. We have some Indian companies like NTPC, Adani Power, Reliance Power, Indian Oil and ONGC. So how much of turbines need to be maintained in its NTPC? That is predicted through analytics. And Adani Power also uses analytics for energy trading and load forecasting. What is the energy that is being traded? Analytics. And depending on that, they're going to also fix the pricing of the products. So smart, efficient, you can also improve the efficiency of your demand forecasting by 20%. The next one, which we probably know we have seen, is education segment. Basically to analyze the student performance tracking in terms of marks, in terms of attendance, in terms of the behavior. So you're able to track your student attendance with the help of analytics. And you're also able to predict what is the dropout rate. If at all, if there is a good amount of dropout rate, it has been mostly in terms of, as I discussed, it is reducing the dropout rates and also improving the student retention. If at all, if there are any dropouts, you're going to make some strategies and you're going to reduce it and by 10%. and there's also improved retention rates. And basically, if you see, these are the basically education organizations which are using learning analytics. Like we see IM Bangalore, IIT. From the day he joined, day one to the day he is going to take the degree, what is his percentage for the last 4 years? So what is his behavior, how many placements attended, everything is being digitally recorded with the help of analytics. So IM Bangalore basically uses analytics two edges that can be drawn out by using analytics. And you can also go for some demand forecasting. You can forecast what is the demand for a particular course by using analytics, because we can do predictive analytics here. Next, IIT Bombay also uses language going to attend. So such type of student engagement programs can be, or studies can be developed by using analytics. And the analytics which we probably use in education, how it can be made feasible to the students, and how educational institutions can use analytics as a tool to enhance their admissions or to reduce their dropouts, to improve the performance, and so on. Now, learning analytics boosts students' performance by 15 to 20%, and early dropout detection by 80% accurate. Which probably we see supply of goods either through by airways or by water means or by water LCDs. So it is route optimization. How do you going to supply your products? Somewhere the plant is located, somewhere the goods should be available somewhere. So how do you route? Where are they able to reach my product to the customer at an early rate? So inventory tracking, which is most important in supply chain, you need to track inventory on day-to-day basis. You also need to forecast your demand of inventory requirement. You also need to have supply your material, all the finished goods, water LCDs. In terms of transit, it is going to reach to the required place in time. So with the help of analytics, you can do all these optimization, tracking, forecasting, and monitoring. With the help of these, you're able to reduce your operational cost. You're able to improve your delivery efficiency. That is, within less time, you're able to deliver the product to your customer by using less cost. That can be done with the help of analytics by developing different models. And you can also have faster delivery times. And the companies which are basically we know in logistics and supply chain is warehouse automation. So, and also warehouse automation. How delivery time prediction, that is in how much time I'm able to deliver my things. So to what extent they'll be able to optimize in terms of logistics and supply chain. Will vary depending upon the place that you want to, depending upon the model, different features. You can do a region in which location, from which location people can fix the price depending upon the demand again. Predict, can fix the price depending upon the demand again using predictive analytics. About providing facilities to the customers utilized. So better customer experience can be provided since you're going to take the feedback from your customers. Hotels make my trip. What happens is they're able to analytics. And if you look at for guest loyalty programs, so if you want loyalty programs, so if you want to conduct some mini programs, depending upon the metrics nowadays, where majority of people are being used, where we use basically graphic factors, how many educated, how many illiterate, male, female, all this is about plans or whatever programs you implement. Optimization resource are there. All these three is possible only when government analytics in government part. What happens is it is able to provide some improved, better public services. It is able to provide some public services to the country, and also anything can be delivered at a better service. And for example, you can add where it uses zone analytics, how much of demand is there for the railway. Depending on that, they're going to make analytics in their day-to-day operations to provide better service to the public. And if you look at Indian Railways, use analytics in sectors where all these sectors are using analytics. Don't think they are not yet evolved. They evolved already in the area of analytics. Let us see among these sectors what is the adoption rate. You can ask me a question: do all these people adapting analytics? You see banking, finance, insurance. We see nowadays majority of people are using analytics. So 82% is the 80 to 90% adoption rate for analytics in terms of financial services segment. If you see those three areas covering 60 to 70%. And if you look at retail and consumer goods, it is only approximately 55 to 60, only for public service, and very low, especially for, but for other requirements, like if you want to study about number of people having Aadhaar, number of people having PAN card, definitely analytics is one of the best way to analyze the data. Apart from this, I just want to focus on the next questions basically to add some value to the organization ahead of their competitors. But point is how they are using it. Generative AI is where you develop some synthetic data. For example, I'll give a best example. For example, I want to 6 months. So I have taken the data, I'll analyze the data, and I will come out with uh, is done, especially when you have already some data, you use that data and you analyze it. But remember, this data cannot be done always for analytics. And this model is good for testing. And if this model is accurate, is found to be accurate, definitely you are going to use this model, develop models. You can test those models. If you find it accurate, you can apply it on the original data, because original data is very where you can develop different synthetic data. It may not be essentially always only quantitative data, even any type of qualitative. So all these are different AI tools which helps you to do generative AI by generating different synthetic data sets. You can develop some. So that's it from my side. Thank you for your.
As you considered the various sectors, what about the education sector where these days I'm at a university where analysis or business analytics as such, in terms of giving a good quality education using blended learning?
For example, in our college, in our university, we also being a university, we also have ERP where the student will provide assignments or any. When you talk about predictive analytics, in terms of offline learning, online learning, you can also talk in terms of offline learning, online learning. You can also talk in terms of courses that you offer. For example, courses that you offer. For example, how many students are preferring to what type of courses? Referring to, and in which area they are more focused, because referring to, and in which area they are more focused, because majority of people nowadays might be taking about AI or some, and basing on this you can make some predictions, and depending on that you can offer those courses during those timings to those students. Thank you, ma'am, for providing the.
Thank you everyone for being a part of today's session. A special thanks to Dr. K. Hema Divya for sharing